feel today? Ask yourself this question.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We ready! We ready! We ready! We ready! And don't do that! And don't do that!
When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it.
It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We ready. And let's go do that. And let's go do that.
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin strap. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from him. He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's war out there. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world.
What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We ready. And let's go do that. And let's go do that. It's a wrap. Game over.
You know this game ain't over. It's just getting started right here on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3 TV. If you got a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV, and you're going to thank me because they got great content. All right, you know nobody gets me hyped like Ray from back in the day with them Baltimore Ravens. Nobody hit harder than my man, and I am hyped up for this Freestyle Friday because the XFL is coming back. And you know the last time they rolled through, them Houston Roughnecks were the number one team. Scheme, plot. They went and came for that number one spot. Well, guess what? They're coming back. The XFL is coming back. There will be a team in Houston. And, man, I made some connections with some connections, and they got me the man who's going to help stop that offense on the other side. We got the defensive coordinator of the Houston XFL team. It's none other than Brian Stewart. Coach, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great, man. After that introduction and then watching a little Ray Lewis intro, man, I'm ready to go.
Man,
I probably can't play for one snap, but I'm ready to go.
I didn't want to tip you off on that, but I said, he going to love this, right?
Yeah. That was hot. That was fire right there. You did a good job with that.
Well, thank you, Coach. Thank you. Yeah. Now, I'm an offensive guy, but, man, I tell you what, ain't nothing like some good, solid defense. And from what I understand, just, you know, again, knowing a little bit about your history, if anybody knows defense, it's you.
Yeah, I try. You know, you learn it every day, especially with as you know, the offenses are always trying to stay ahead of the game, and we got to make sure we stay right along with them, man. So it's fun. It's fun to say the least.
Yes, sir. Well, in 2023, the XFL will be back. Houston will have a team. Head coach is one of our beloved, one of our favorite sons, right. None other than Wade Phillips, son of Bum Phillips, and he tabbed you to be his defensive coordinator. Tell us about how you feel about the league coming back, the team being in Houston, and working with somebody that you feel very, very strongly about.
Well, you know, first of all, just my relationship with Wade. I mean, we were at the Chargers together when he was the defensive coordinator and I was a DB coach. And then when he got the Dallas Cowboy job as a head coach, he brought me as long as the defensive coordinator. So obviously, we have a pretty tight connection and stuff right there. As far as going to Houston, man, I love Houston. You know, that was where my family were based, out of Houston. When my daughter graduated from Clements High School.
Okay.
So she graduated from Clements, and we lived in Sugar Land we either lived in Sugar Land or Mo City. So we lived, Fort Bend area. So
Gotcha.
love Houston, love the food, love the passion for football. I mean, you can't get any stronger passion in Texas for football, especially the Houston area. So I love that. And so I'm happy to bring the XFL back out there, man. And everybody just says is it saturated? Is it too much football? And I don't think you could ever have enough football if you're a true football fan. I don't know if you can ever have that. So, when they were the XFL was there the first time, the last time, I thought they did a good job. I think Jim Jones was the head coach. I thought they were innovative. And we're going to be the same way. We're going to be innovative on offense and defense. We're going to be stingy versus the run and try to eliminate, do what we can to eliminate the deep ball.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have to throw the ball, you have to throw the ball on the outsides. You're going to have to throw, screens, and otherwise, that deep ball, we're just going to stop the deep ball. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, minimize the big plays.
Minimize the big plays.
And get off the field on third down. I listen. I love it. Ray Lewis, when he made a stop, he just yelled, "Get off the field."
Yeah. And you feel like that too.
Yeah, exactly. And we got
right.
Brian Stewart joining us. He's the defensive coordinator of the Houston XFL team. They're about to reboot again in 2023. The Rock and his business partner bought the league and are bringing it back. And I'm with you, man. I don't think it's oversaturation at all, especially in this market, because we loved the XFL when it was here previously. The fans got behind them.
Oh, yeah.
You had, 15, 20,000 people over at U of H, TDECU Stadium, checking out a very good product. So, what's the thought? I mean, give us an idea of when we can expect to see some, drafts and find out who's going to be on the team and stuff like that.
Well, so the draft is going to be somewhere in November.
Okay.
And they're still trying to make sure where, when, put all those points, and then they'll start spinning that out. And then after the November draft, then you can start getting introduced to the players.
Gotcha.
Especially by who's going to be where, and by that time we'll know our official name. Okay. as well as our official colors. And so those things are going to be happening November on. And then training camp starts in January, and the first game is the Sunday after the Super Bowl. So you got opportunity to watch Super Bowl and then roll into it. So all those things are exciting.
Yeah.
And like I said, details will slowly be coming out. We're just trying to fine tune things. I think one of the things that put this league on a stronghold was, instead of trying to start like last spring, what they did is they made sure they escrowed money. They made sure that they had an idea of how they wanted the whole thing to run, how they wanted to accumulate players, how they wanted to accumulate the coaches, how they wanted to do, where they wanted to be housed, how they wanted to house everybody. So it was a very, very thought out plan. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be part of it. Very excited. Yeah, man. So it's gonna be pretty good.
Man, I'm excited for you. I'm excited because of you and The Rock and Coach Phillips. I mean, because again, when we lost it, it was like, man, that was good football. And now that it's coming back, man, we're really excited about it here in Houston. I got to take a quick break, but when I come back, I want to ask you about you. I mean,
okay.
Look, you didn't wake up thinking like, oh, wow, I want to be a defensive coordinator. So we want to hear that journey when we come back with defensive coordinator Brian Stewart. He's the defensive coordinator of the Houston XFL team. We'll talk more with him right after this on the lunch break. We're powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3.
The man said that Sharifa Barksdale is on the verge. She's getting ready to set the world record. And I lost concentration and I followed that hurdle. I was devastated.
One of our hopes for the Olympic Games, Sharifa Barksdale from Tennessee, a fine intermediate hurdler, ranked 10th in the world at 400 meters.
Posición game ball de Canadá, dominando la prueba, y la estadounidense Sharifa Barksdale está en.
When I fell over that hurdle, it ended my career. And then all of a sudden, my coach grabs me by the throat. And I was going through some paperwork and seeing that he had spent 10 years in prison. And I was just like floored. it turned to domestic violence. I was terrified. So if I left, I don't know if I was going to die. My family didn't know if they was going to get a phone call to say that Sharifa was dead.
8910 radio, I said a vehicle took a shot at me. Southbound on East 95th.
Broke the U.S. record in the 400-meter hurdles. Represented the United States of America.
Imagine being on the biggest, fastest roller coaster that you have ever been on. That's the way my life was for 20 years.
I never had no trouble out of her being what she wanted to be. Because if this is what she wanted to be a runner, well, God bless her, and he did.
Man, I couldn't be more excited about that one. My production company, JM&E, got the opportunity to do the life story of an Olympian, Dr. Sharifa Barksdale. We finished up filming this past week in Harriman, Tennessee. That was her 97-year-old mother there at the end.
Wow.
That will be coming to either screens or streams near you real soon before the end of the year. So
yeah, make sure you hit me on that, man. I definitely want to see that. I love those stories.
Brother, let me tell you, I mean, dude, the last hurdle was where her career came crashing down. And man, she's got a very compelling story, man. I ran hurdles in college. I ran the highs though. I ran over 10 hurdles. She ran over 400-meter hurdles. So
man, that's a beast. You got to be a beast.
Man, the 400 hurdles itself is already a ridiculous race because it's a nonstop sprint around the track. But to stick hurdles in the middle, man, that's just ridiculous, bro.
Yeah. I wasn't in on that. I ran college track, but I wasn't trying to do that.
I hear you. What discipline did you run?
I ran the 100, the 2, and then I was on the short relay, and then sometimes they put me on the 4x4. I tried not to, believe me, but it depends on, we had an 800 runner and another sprinter. It depends on what those guys were doing, whether I had to do it or not. So I'm just like, hey, how you feeling? I'd have go get a water, whatever. I just did not want to go that race.
Man, Coach, you and I had that in common. Whenever if we needed to qualify, I was on the qualifying relay, but for the final, it was a whole different group of dudes. That's all right. We got Coach Brian Stewart joining us here on Freestyle Friday on the lunch break. He's the defensive coordinator of the Houston XFL team. Glad to have him making some time with us. Coach, we want to find out about you. Where are you from originally? How did you get into football, number one? And then how did you start to drift over to the defensive side as a coach?
Okay, originally from Los Angeles, California. My parents were Marines and stationed in San Diego. When you get out of the Marines, San Diego was a little expensive, so LA was cheaper. So they lived in, so I grew up in Los Angeles. I went to high school in the San Gabriel Valley. So I took the regular bus, not the yellow one, the RTD regular bus to school, because they wanted me to go to a pretty good school. So I went to school in La Puente, California. I went to Nogales High School. Then I played sports the whole time, man. Ran track, played football, and then went to Santa Monica City College and played at Northern Arizona University. And so that's like my football thing. Pretty good football player. I wasn't all this, all that, but a solid football player. Had opportunity to play some post football. Played, went to training camp with the Falcons, went to training camp with the Raiders. Played a little arena football, watched the Commandos, and then just trying to find my way. Started coaching. I started coaching at Locke High School, which is in Watts, California. Wow! And I didn't finish my degree. And the AD coach, principal, E.C. Robinson, he said, "Hey man, I can get you $65 a day if you could get your degree, because I'll give you an emergency credential so you can substitute teach." Because at Locke High School, man, that's in Watts. You walk into class, you walk into the school, it says teachers absent 12, right? It says substitute teachers, 7. So there's 5 classes that don't have no teachers.
Oh, wow.
And they just during the periods, they just put those guys in the gym or put them outside or doing something where there was no cell phones then. So they're just like chilling, So that's kind of started my journey into getting coaching. And then I thought about that, kind of contemplating that. Then April 29th, 1992, the verdict came out about Rodney King. And then it tore up the city. And then as I was trying to drive home, just looking at everything, and I just said, man, I got to do better. I got to have an impact on some of these young guys, and so they don't have to live like this. And so I called one of my ex-coaches. He got me started coaching, and I coached at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. That was the first place I coached, and that's also where I met my wife. And that got me on my journey. So that was the first thing. And so I coached running backs and receivers first. So it helped me it really, because I played defensive back. So that coaching the offense kind of helped me understand protections, helped me understand route concepts, why the back goes to the flat this way instead of that way, just the route spacing. So that helped me tremendously, understanding that. Then I became a graduate assistant at the University of Missouri, and that's when I really started to learn football, because I had to break down the film. So like whatever something was called, I had to call it that. I had to what the blocking scheme was. So you really learn football when you're GA, So I was learning football there, and then that was a pivotal thing. Then I was on my way. My first NFL job was with the Houston Texans. I was the original staff. 2002. Yeah, with Don Capers. And that's when I said I want to be a defensive coordinator, because sitting there, I'm paying attention to what the D-line guy does. I thought that was some good stuff, and I'm listening to a linebacker coach. So I'm making my little book, so I have a little book, and this is all D-line stuff, what they're talking about, what he calls it, why. Then flip it over, this is all linebacker stuff, what they call it, why. I consider myself to be an expert at DB play, but I wanted to know everything else, and then how it played together and stuff. So I just started paying attention to what was going on, what people were saying, why they did drills. I mean, I literally would ask, hey, why are you doing that? Why are you hitting the bag like that? And they explain to me and stuff. And some guys took it personal, AJ. They were just like, why are you asking me what I'm doing? You better worry about the DBs. And then finally, I just walk in the office. I said, hey, man, no disrespect at all. I think you took it the wrong way. I know nothing about it. You're an expert at D-line. That's why I'm asking you, because I think you got all the answers. I like listening to you. I like watching how you coach them. I want to know more. So when I ask you, please don't take it any other way. It's just like, I truly don't know. And then they put their guns back in the holster and said, okay, man, but I think they really, at first, they thought me asking questions, I was questioning them. I was coming from a place where I didn't know. And I grew up in LA. If you don't know something, you ask.
Yeah.
Like,
What's wrong with that?
Yeah. People take that personal.
Yeah.
Personal.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to know. Now you got to say, hey, man, I really just want to know, because I don't know. You got to preface it that, say that before you even get into the question. So that's kind of how I did it. And then when I was with the Chargers, Wade noticed that. He noticed that I was asking the D-line coach stuff. And so one day we're sitting there in the lunchroom. Chargers didn't have no official lunchroom. They just had a microwave and a coffee machine. So we were sitting in there putting our stuff in the microwave. And then he says, I saw you asking our D-line coach some questions and writing it down and stuff. He said, you try to be a D-line coach? No. I said, if I had to, I want to know how to do it. I said, I just want to see how everything is, because we're telling him to reduce down when the safety comes down. I want to know the steps he's taking, how he's thinking, how is he getting that B gap so he won't get washed. I'm trying to understand all that. And then Wade said, so it's funny, he just took notes of me taking notes. And then when he got the call to go to Dallas, he calls me and says, hey, how you feel about being a coordinator? What are you talking about?
Wow.
So that's kind of, that's kind of the deal.
That's a big jump, though, man. That's a huge jump.
Man, he was the best person to learn under, because he didn't tell you you're wrong. He helped you see the picture. He's just like, okay, it's 3rd and 5. If you run out there with the pass rush guys, and it's 3rd and 5, and the running back is Brandon Jacobs, they may run. So you may rather have a different front so that you could stop the run and then manipulate the coverage so we could cover the, So he did a good job. He wasn't like, what the hell you call that for? And none of that. He just kind of talk you through, and that helps you have confidence. That helps you roll through. That helps you look at things in a different perspective. Because now when you're preparing, you'll go the way and say, hey, man, on 3rd down, they do this. In the red zone, they do this. I want to stop this. And he's just like, remember, if you stop that, what are you saying about that? He knew how to bridge it. And then, so that's kind of how I learned football. And those were some of the, so the pivotal guys. So the three big things for me were, like I said, April 29th, 1992. I'll never forget it because of the Rodney King verdict, so that really told me I have to get out of LA and start doing something. Yeah. And then being a graduate assistant, learning how to break down film and doing that stuff. And then just, once I got to the NFL, just paying attention to what other positions were doing, drill wise, as far as how they teach, what they tell them, why they do it their way. Because there's all, you could go talk to 3 different D-line coaches and they doing it different ways. Right. And, but they all can tell you why they do that. You know, I want my hand down to the ball. I want my hand down to the man. I want, so you're learning all those things and why. So then now when you're putting it together or you're interviewing as a coordinator, you got to interview some of the D-line coaches, linebacker coaches. You have a pretty good idea of what they should be saying, what you like, what you're looking for, and what fits what you do. So those are like the 3 strong things that happened to me football wise. And then, you just kind of fall in love with the preparation. Yeah, the game's the icing on the cake. Right, Jay. It really is. The game is the icing on the cake. It's the preparation that you fall in love with, man. Oh, what if they do this? Oh, that they do this. So it's the preparation. What I try to do is not second guess myself at all, but try to have answers for everything they do. Like, I want to be able to stop the power if they run the power. Okay. So now I got to deal with stop the power, and I got to be comfortable in that, because that defense may stop the power because I got the extra backer, but it leaves one-on-ones on the outside. Gotcha. So I got to be smart enough and look at the data that's all been analyzed and say, okay, on 1st and 2nd and 5 or less, they run the power. So I'm gonna be single high. I'm gonna have the extra guy in the box. It's one-on-one now. They're gonna take some shots. Yeah. And I can explain that to my guys. I say, hey, I had Darius Slay. Hey, Slay, 1st down, you're gonna be one-on-one, bro. And I just look at them in the eyes. If they like, what you talk about? Then we good. Yeah. They're looking at me just like, bro, I don't want to be covering Slayton the whole damn time. I want to cover Diggs the whole time one-on-one. Then I'll be like, all right. Yeah. You're gonna have to. You're going to have to eat your Wheaties one of these days. Right.
Coach, this is fascinating. This is fascinating because as fans, even as analysts, and broadcast journalists, not many of us have that level of detail and understanding. And a lot of times folks are just, he don't know what he's doing. And, they didn't make any adjustments. For instance, last night we saw Pittsburgh have a tough night with 2 top-flight running backs. Either of those running backs could be the man on anybody's team. And they got him. When you're on that sideline and you prepared and you put in a game plan and you see them having that kind of success running the ball, you as a defensive coordinator, what do your adjustments look like? What are the things that you're trying to do to help stop that?
That's a lot of answers you're looking for, right? So the first thing is is it a person? Are they running to a person? Are they running to my 3 technique and they're blowing him out because he's not big enough? Are they running to my shade? Is it a person first? If it's a person, I got to get a bigger person or a quicker person in there. So that's the first thing I look at. The second thing I look at is, okay, scheme-wise, are they attacking what we do? So first, are they attacking a person? Or now are they attacking what we do? And then that's the guys in the booth will say, yeah, every time we're in quarters, they're running to the shade because the safety's the extra field guy. Okay. All right. Then we're going to have to run cover 3.
Okay.
You know, or we're going to have to run man. And then now you run man. And then now, man, you load up the box. And then now what happened? Okay. We missed the linebacker, missed the tackle. Well, linebacker missed the tackle and we're in a 2-level defense. The 3rd level guy is a deep safety.
Right.
And if he misses, it's a wrap.
It's to the house.
So then now you're looking at, okay, they got us on that one. You know, that's why sometimes on elite backs, you're just like, okay, how can we slow him down? Should we blitz off the edge where he is, or should we blitz away from him because he's coming that way? You know, so it's not like guys are sitting down like, I don't know what it's not like they're sitting down wondering what to do. It's they're you know, like I think Pittsburgh, you know, first they were running to the left, to the offensive left, the defensive right. So I thought maybe it was whoever the right end was, but then it wasn't. It was just the way they were calling the formation and stuff. And then sometimes the backers were missing tackles. You know, the front side backer didn't do a great job, and then a couple of times Bush got sealed trying to get across. You know, I think he got sealed a few times. So once he couldn't get over there, you don't have another guy. So
right.
And then those running backs, they're not waiting for you to add people.
With intent, with bad intent. In fact, Bush got off of a tackle, and you could see him yelling at his guys about something that didn't happen. So again, from your perspective, man, it really helps us out. We got Brian Stewart. He's the defensive coordinator for the Houston XFL team. They're going to be coming back to us in 2023, the first Sunday after the Super Bowl in 2023. We will see some live XFL action, and we are very excited about that here in Houston. I want to ask you a question. You know, there are folks that love Bill Belichick as a defensive mind, and obviously he's earned that.
No question.
Yeah, he's able to take away stuff that you don't anticipate him taking away, and you don't realize how much you need it until you can't go to it. Yeah. How, from a defensive perspective, are you able to implement a game plan like that? Like, I'm going to take away this guy or their ability to do this. How do you do that? How do you come up with that?
Well, I've always tried to do that. Just, you know, if they're a heavy run team, then you got to load the box and look at the receivers and see, is there a receiver that could hurt us?
Okay.
You know, and when I say hurt us, I mean just run by whoever's covering. Sure. It don't matter what the matchup, whoever's covering. And then now you say, okay, we're going to have to play with the safety over top of that receiver and play with and load the box. And now if they're a passing team, and you know, like you play the Rams spread the wealth, right? So you know, just like you could double cut, but what about the linebacker? What about you know, so that now you're just like, now they got Allen Robinson who does a good job with the 50-50 catch, right? Yeah. So you know, you say, how are we gonna stop this? Okay, now you gotta be smart. You're just like, okay, the Rams ain't gonna beat us running for 200 yards. Sean McVay ain't gonna call 200 yards worth of runs. So we'll play a little cover 2. We'll be able to double the receivers and sometimes double 2 or 3 of the receivers and survive the run. And then that's kind of look, you try to make somebody play left-handed as much as possible. You try to look at what they do, what they do well. Now, some teams are pretty balanced. And then, you know, when you come across those balanced teams, then now you got to say, okay, who's going to have the hard hat? Who's going to have the tough down? You know, most of the time, what we do is we spin it to the DBs. We make them have to play one-on-one, and we try to put the best DB on their second best receiver. Okay. And on the best receiver, we try to play over top, like have the safety help out.
Okay.
And that's kind of how we do. And then that's kind of what we did with Darius Slay when I was in Detroit, because we do Slay would win his battles. He's going to win 70-80% of his battles. Great player.
Yeah, we saw him go off the other night. We saw him go off the other night.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Ended up being the player of the week for the.
2 interceptions, one for a touchdown. Come on.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it a little differently than it was posted here. Without calling names, when you see a quarterback that's struggling, how do you make their day or their evening even worse? Without calling names, how do you look at a quarterback that might be struggling and make their night even worse?
Well, you see what one thing is looking at that body language. I love to look at I look at the coaches on the sidelines body language, and I look at different players' body language. If I see a quarterback getting frustrated, looking at guys, looking at stuff, I was like, all right, keep pressuring. Let's do that cross dog in the middle so that it's coming right up on him, and let's see what he does. Then I look at him, I look at his body language, and then I say, okay, they haven't stopped this stunt yet, so we do that, and then we do that, and then and sometimes you just run a coverage he's struggling with. Like some guys don't like to throw in the tight windows, and I'll just say, well, we'll play man and make them throw in the tight windows, or a 5-man rush with man behind it and make them throw in the tight window. That frustrates guys. And then some guys, if the pitcher changes after the ball snapped, they're terrible.
Okay.
They're just terrible.
Okay.
So we just change the pitcher. We show like we're too high. Pitchers, and then boom, come down, bolt back in the middle of the field, and now he's just flustered, or he throws early because he wants to try to do it before we change our pitcher, and now we intercept him. So
I got you.
Just watch the body language, what they like. The quarterbacks, man, are so emotional. Even from Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. All those guys are emotional. They put so much time in it, they're gonna be emotional. You know what I mean? So with all that time you put in, they're gonna be emotional. So you just look at them, what they don't like, and you just keep hitting them with what they don't like. Same coverages, same rush, hitting the same guy. If they're yelling at the left tackle, then send 2 to the side of the left tackle, because now I'm gonna make the left tackle feel uncomfortable, and I'm gonna keep the quarterback yelling at him to keep him uncomfortable. So that's how you do it.
Man, one of my favorite books in the world is The Art of War, and it talks about causing infighting on the opposing army, and that's what you're talking about right there. When you got the quarterback yelling at the tackle, I'll never forget. Peyton Manning was amazing. Peyton would be facing this side. Somebody missed a block on that side, and he would yell out that person's name. He literally yelled, "Damn it, Dallas," because Dallas Clark missed that block on the backside, and that brother knew where everybody was supposed to be.
Exactly
Let them know when they missed those assignments.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Let me ask you this. Let me throw this up real quick, because again, you guys are bringing the XFL back. If a player missed the tryouts and they wanted to have an opportunity to make the team, is there a path for them to do that in the XFL?
Yeah, what I would do is, because a lot of teams are doing private workouts, what I would do is there's director of player personnel for all teams, all 8 teams. I would make sure I draft a letter talking to those guys with my stats, where I played college ball at, the closest place you could work out if possible, and send that to the director of player personnel and of every XFL team, and tell them that's how I would do it. That make sure you get your name out there. If you have decent film, or because we have mostly there's like one thing now with technology, there's really no secrets. So if you could say, hey, my best game was when I was at Incarnate Word, we played against Texas State. I got that's my best game. Take a look at that. And you can look. So there's all kinds of ways, but I would hit the director of player personnel, because that's what they do. They're day in, day out, 9 to 5, 9 to 7, whatever. They're looking at players. They're trying to. Everybody wants to get the best players, so they're looking at players. So they're not going to let somebody who is an elite player slip through the cracks.
We got Brian Stewart. He's the defensive coordinator for the Houston XFL team. Brian, I appreciate you making the time. Look, I'm so fascinated. I'm just sitting here sucking it all up.
Man, I love it.
I have a mutual friend, Chris Dishman, who of course played for the Oilers. He's the defensive coordinator in the USFL, and now he's about to be in the XFL. He said something real interesting. He said when a guy sends me his film, I usually go back and try to find other film because they're not going to send me their worst plays.
What?
They're going to send me their best
100%.
plays.
Yeah.
So he says it's his job to go and find those other plays so he can see how they handled those, what they did wrong. Was it scheme? Was it them? Whatever it was, so I can see what I'm dealing with. How about you? How do you make it?
No, that's absolutely right. A highlight film is just that, right? It's a highlight film, so it's going to show you your best things.
Yeah,
I look at it to see what your skill set is, what you can do, and it gives me an idea what you think is a highlight.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you think jumping over somebody to tackle somebody is a highlight, and they ran for 20 yards, I'm just like, it's not a highlight. But if you think a pick six is a highlight or a forced fumble is a highlight, okay, so that gets my blood pumping. And then if I like what I see, I'm just like, all right, let me find some cracks in this cat, right? Then I start looking at the tape, going back on some game film and looking at it. What's his effort away from the ball? What's just look, especially defensive players. Nothing worse than a defensive lineman. They're running away and he just stops. But he's a beast when it comes to him. But when it goes away, oh my man, not to mention names, but they're two dudes from Tennessee and what other school in Georgia. Not the past 3 years at Georgia before Kirby was there. I mean, he was a beast. He's killing. When it came to him.
Yeah,
man. When it went the other way, he might as well went and got a sandwich because he wasn't playing.
What's interesting is I'm big on analytics. I'm a numbers guy, and we had a guy here by the name of Jadeveon Clowney, and folks were always, repeating, regurgitating. Oh, he can't stay healthy. He can't stay this. Jadeveon Clowney had more tackles from 10 yards past the line of scrimmage than anybody in the league. So what does that tell you? He is running plays down.
He's running after the ball.
And they always said, and I'm not knocking anybody, but they always said another guy had a nonstop motor. But here you had a guy who had more tackles 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage than anybody else in the league. That tells me that guy has a nonstop motor too. Yeah,
no, that he's getting after it.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to answer your question, I look at I do look at the highlights because I want to see what their skill set is. I also want to see what they feel is good, what they feel is acceptable, what they feel is a highlight. And then if I like the highlight, because if I don't like the highlight, I'm not even gonna look at the film. Mm-hmm. I'm just like that's enough. I've done enough here. Yeah. But if it's a good highlight, now I'm looking at the game. I'm trying to see what he is away from him. Does he have good zone awareness? You can look at zone awareness as from a linebacker's perspective and a DB's perspective, even when it's not thrown to them.
Mm-hmm.
Did they drop? Did the quarterbacks looking the opposite way? Are they in their drop but closing closer to where the quarterback is, or are they just like a robot and just go to the same spot every time? Just I like to see that, just the zone awareness, what he sees, how he reacts to what he sees. Can he anticipate all those things? And a lot of times in a highlight, you can't see anticipation because it's just a highlight. He's gonna. You just look at him. He's gonna intercept this one. He's gonna scoop and score. He's gonna make a tackle.
Yeah.
He's gonna take on a double team. So you can't really see because it's a highlight. But then once you see the meat and potatoes of a football game or football games, now you say, okay, this is who the guy is. This is a better snapshot of who this guy is.
Yeah. We got Brian Stewart. He is the defensive coordinator for the Houston XFL football team. Coach, I'm getting ready to let you go, but I got to ask you this question.
Yeah.
And you watch a football game as a fan, or do you watch it all the way, always with that defensive coordinator mindset?
Man, I'm cursed, man. I can't watch a game without I was at a high school football game, and I'm like, You know, I put the notes in my phone. I just like, man, you know, nobody's covering number 2. They're not pushing to the flat. I mean, you know, I almost felt like one time I just felt like, you know, it was my friend's kid plays JV football here, so I went to go watch him, and I was just like, who's supposed to go to the flat? He's just like, it's JV football. I was just like, it's football. Shit, I can go to Pop Warner. Somebody's covering the flat, you know. So it's rough. It's rough, man. You don't want to sit next to me, AJ, because I'm going through it.
Coach, I'll be right there with you. And what's so bad is mine is contagious because my oldest son does the same thing. I'm a former offensive guy. I was an offensive coordinator. And my son's like, oh, you would have had this going on. You would have had that going on. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you don't know me like that. You don't know me like that. You dead on it, Doc.
Yeah, exactly right.
Coach Brian Stewart, he is the defensive coordinator of the Houston XFL team. Coach, which team on the NFL level? Don't call no person's name, but which team plays defense the way you really, really like? Like, just make you go, ooh.
Right now, it's the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, they play. It's funny, you watch them. They play some quarters so they can match up a little bit. They do play about 30% of man, not a lot of man, but they play 30% of man. But they play just, I don't even know how to, high school, country, cover 3, whatever you want to call it. But they know how to go to the wide part of the zone or the shallow part of the zone. They plant and drive. They contest the catch. They do a good job. And the D-line plays blocks. They don't just go around blocks. They play blocks.
Yeah.
They do a good job. I think they're well coached. They do a good job. I think that they don't do an awful lot of things so people can kind of zero in on how they want to play to get their players better. As far as coaches, position coaches could like narrow the drills down to, you know, we're going to do cover 3. So you got your cover 3 drills, you got your man drills, and then quarters is a match. So it's closer to man. So, you know, when are we going to pass and when we're going to take our guy all the way through? They just do a good job. So, you know, I've been I enjoyed watching them last year. And then I really enjoy watching them now because I think they're not doing anything spectacular. They're just real sound. Everyone knows what they're doing, so they can make some plays.
Yeah, Von Miller, Ed Oliver, and all, man, they ball up, man. They really do ball up.
Oh yeah.
Which quarterback did you least like to prepare for on the high school? On the college or the pro level?
On the college level, it's always been the quarterback that could run, not running quarterbacks, because you could always plan for a running quarterback.
Right.
It's the quarterbacks that the CJ Strouds, those kind of guys that could get back and you're like, son of a, you know. So those were always the toughest ones because everybody says put a spy on him. Well, who in the hell is going to spy on him? You know, that's easy to say, put a spy on him.
Right.
It can't be a linebacker because he's going to outrun him. And if it's a DB, I got to take somebody out of coverage to, you know, so that's easier said than done. So a lot of times you end up having a 3-man rush so that everybody has eyes on them. And then now, you know, it kind of changes the dynamics of what you want to do in the back end because you're trying to make sure the quarterback don't run, you know. And then when he does run, you better still lock on the receivers because those guys strong enough arms to throw.
Yeah.
In the NFL level, you know, I think it's Mahomes, man. In Detroit, we thought we had an opportunity to beat Kansas City, and it was 4th and 11. We played man. We had a spy on Mahomes. He outran the spy and slid. It was first down.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it any better.
Yeah.
We're covering Tyreek. We're on them dudes. You know, we doubled Kelsey. And then all of a sudden he look, duck, whip, you know, duck, beat gap, bounce, ran down the field. Sheesh. I mean, it's just, you know, those dudes, man, those guys are hard, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Coach, I'm sure you're not alone in that suffrage. Not alone. Plenty of defensive coordinators need therapy from dealing with those cats, man. So, man, I appreciate you making the time for us. Again, tell us when we can expect to see things happening in the XFL, what we need to be looking out for, and just anything else you want us to know about the upcoming new season with the XFL.
Well, I think just, go to XFL.com. They're doing a good job of putting things out. I think one of the things that the next thing coming out will be the draft somewhere in November, and then the true names. Make sure that the name and the colors of the uniforms and stuff, because that's exciting. I'm even waiting to see that. I like to know those things.
Yeah,
the reason why they can't just automatically go with the names that they had before is because a lot of the intellectual property things, so let them kind of fight through all that stuff. And I'm excited, waiting to see who the team's going to be, because right now, man, I think I'm overcoaching my poor kids volleyball,
because you don't have one single player right now.
Not one.
You don't have a clue who's going to be on your team.
So I practice coaching my daughters, and my 12-year-old said, "I thought you were a football coach." So I am.
Like, you want to eat, don't you?
Yeah. I was like, come on.
Coach, I gotta thank you, man. Appreciate you making the time.
No, appreciate you.
Success. We will be seeing each other and talking again, because I will be covering the XFL Houston team, and we'll be, going to the games, and I'll see you down in the locker room. Look, act like you know me now when I come up.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna show you love.
Okay, I'm gonna say, because he be like, AJ who? Nah.
No. I got you. You don't have to worry about that.
I appreciate you, Coach. Again, much success. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll be talking to you again soon.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Thanks.
Coach Brian Stewart from the XFL Houston team. He's a great dude, man. I'm telling you, I love his knowledge. They talk about football IQ, and his football IQ was just on display right there. So, again, we appreciate him taking the time to drop in on us on the lunch break. Listen, let me take a quick break. I'll come back, and we'll get into some other quick things before we wrap up this Freestyle Friday right here on the lunch break, powered by Jones Media and Entertainment, and streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS.
If you're looking for a sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show. BS3 Network proudly presents.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with a Z. Every Friday on Patreon, and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets.
When the man said that Sharifa Barksdale is on the verge, she's getting ready to set the world record, and I lost concentration and I followed that hurdle, I was devastated.
One of our hopes for the Olympic Games, Sharifa Barksdale from Tennessee, a fine intermediate hurdler, ranked 10th in the world at 400 meters.
Posición game ball de Canadá, dominando la prueba, y la estadounidense Sharifa Barksdale está en.
When I fell over that hurdle, it ended my career. And then all of a sudden, my coach grabs me by the throat. And I was going through some paperwork and seeing that he had spent 10 years in prison. And I was just like floored. It turned to domestic violence. I was terrified. So if I left, I don't know if I was going to die. My family didn't know if they was going to get a phone call to say that Sharifa was dead.
Hey, yeah, 10 radio, I said a vehicle took a shot at me. Southbound on East 95th.
Broke the U.S. record in the 400-meter hurdles. Represented the United States of America.
Imagine being on the biggest, fastest roller coaster that you have ever been on. That's the way my life was for 20 years.
I never had no trouble out of her being what she wanted to be. Because if this is what she wanted to be a runner, well, God bless her, and he did.
Man, I am really excited about that story. I am really excited about the life of Dr. Sharifa Barksdale under the title, the heading, The Last Hurdle, a true Olympian story. That one's going to be coming out real soon. I want to appreciate her son, Javaris, her daughter, Jantel, affectionately known as Grits, and all the good folks of Harriman, Tennessee for the time that we spent together last week and for their hospitality, man. When I tell you, they literally rolled out the red carpet. I mean, they literally rolled out the red carpet. So you'll be seeing and hearing more about that as we get ready to premiere at the end of the year. All right, man, I'm still lit up by Coach Brian Stewart, man. He broke down some really great things in that. A lot of folks, oh, you don't know what he's doing. Oh, he's not making any adjustments. They make adjustments. They do know what they're doing. Sometimes it just doesn't work. I remember two distinctive times when Bill Belichick and Tom Brady just threw up their hands. One of them was against the New Orleans Saints. The other one was against the Indianapolis Colts, where they just threw up their hands. We don't have the answer for this tonight. And it happens like that sometimes. It does not mean that somebody, doesn't know what they're doing. Unfortunately, it does cost them their job sometimes, but that's just the business part of it. But, again, from a layman standpoint, and just because you played at your Division I AA school or your one single A school in high school doesn't make you on an NFL level. And I'm not trying to offend anybody, but let's just keep it a buck. I mean, you folks play in high school and think that they got the same mindset of a college coach or a pro coach. You don't. And I don't want to hear they can go get a regular job like me and they can make $40,000 a year and they can see what it's all about. No, it doesn't work like that. None of that works like that. So, again, I appreciate Coach Stewart coming on. He's held some prominent jobs. Somebody said, well, he held those jobs. We got fired from those jobs. Hey, he held them. Wide receiver coach at Cal Poly, running back coach at Cal Poly, running back coach, tight ends and special teams coach at Northern Iowa, coached at Mizzou as a grad assistant, coached at San Jose State as a defensive back coach, was back at Mizzou as a defensive back coach, would tell you something that they brought him back. Syracuse as a defensive back coach, Texans as the assistant defensive backs coach for the founding team, for the inaugural team. San Diego Chargers defensive back coach, Dallas Cowboys as the defensive coordinator, defensive assistant for the Eagles, University of Houston defensive coordinator under Kevin Sumlin, at Maryland defensive coordinator, Nebraska defensive back coach, and that's when they were the black shirts, so I like that. At Rice defensive coordinator, cornerbacks coach, Detroit Lions defensive back coach, Baylor cornerback coach, Maryland defensive coordinator, and now the defensive coordinator for the XFL team connected with Houston. So yeah, man, I'm really glad to have connections with folks who can get me smart people like that, man. I love this. Alaman, I think Mitch played good defense, hurt them, and Jacoby is starting. Watson may have to back up. No, man, no. When Deshaun Watson is able to play, he will be the man. Now, that's not saying that Jacoby could not be a starter in this league. That's not saying that at all. In fact, I think he got a really raw deal in Indianapolis. They brought him back too soon from an injury that should have had him out longer. Brian Hoyer stunk up the place and was killing their playoff chances. And when Jacoby couldn't turn it back on after that knee injury, they got rid of him that next year and started bringing in rentals. And, oh, yeah, by the way, look at how that worked out for them. So, no, I think Jacoby Brissett could definitely be a starter in the NFL, but he is not going to be the man over Deshaun Watson. It's just not going to happen. I mean, it's just not going to happen. A lot of folks forget just how good Deshaun is. When you see Deshaun Watson play behind a decent offensive line, and that offensive line that I saw last night for Cleveland, it was a beast. You put Deshaun Watson, I'm not talking about the legal stuff, I'm just talking football, so don't hit me with the yeah this and yeah that and shouldn't be and all that. Just talking football. people forgot just how talented Deshaun is. And don't let that one preseason game fool you. The man can make plays. The man can make plays. In fact, Jacoby Brissett should be the starter in New York over Zach Wilson. Jacoby Brissett could be the starter in Carolina over those dudes that they got down there, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Jacoby Brissett could be the starter in Washington over Carson Wentz and, Mr. Tyler Heineke. I mean, there's a number of places where Jacoby Brissett could be the man. I just hope he hangs in there and truly gets a shot to finally be the man again. Down in Houston, Jacoby Brissett could definitely be the starter over Davis Mills. What I hate that's happening down here is folks are starting to question Pep Hamilton. And I'm just going to tell you this. No other offensive coordinator here in Houston, not named Gary Kubiak, had the skill, the talent, and the credentials as Pep Hamilton. Tim Kelly had never been an offensive coordinator on any level, but people still tried to defend him and his horrendous play calling, and the dude only got the job because Bill O'Brien knew that he had to be a yes man to him. George Godsey was a better offensive coordinator than Tim Kelly. On Pep Hamilton's resume, he's got Justin Herbert, he's got Andrew Luck, and he's got Peyton Manning. I'll let you figure that out on the way home. It ain't Pep Hamilton's play calling. He's trying to make something out of a quarterback that may not be the quarterback people think he is. All right, let me hush. Let me leave it at that. For all you who are participating in the Lunch Break Weekly, keeping up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge, I hope last night went the way you thought it would. I hope Sunday goes the way you think it'll go. And then I hope somebody will do well on Monday, because that person who does the best will get $50 cash. At the end of the season, the top 6 will compete for $500 cash. So, hey, get your picks in. For next week. Can't do them for this week. For next week, got to have them in by Thursday. You know me. I'm excited about this weekend. Got some good football going on. I'll be tuned into that Texas Southern UT San Antonio game. I'll be tuned into Jackson State, of course. I'll be tuned into the Ohio State and Wisconsin. My man Willie Gibson told me to pay attention. They're not going to do jump around to start the fourth quarter, but I want to see what they come with, because to me, this is just me now, Wisconsin football team has the best fan-related celebration, whatever, of any other sport. Jump around in the fourth quarter, man, nothing like it. Better than Duke, better than North Carolina, better than anybody else. Jump around, number 1 on my list. Hey, if you don't agree, tell me what's better. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I truly do love you, and there's nothing you can do about it except meet us here on the Lunch Break Monday with the coach, Johnny Cole's HBCU Stroll. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you then.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Friday, September 23rd, 2022. Number 1, a legal decision was handed down and some comments were made regarding documents seized from the Trump Mar-a-Lago estate. A federal appeals court granted an immediate temporary stay and allowed the Department of Justice to resume using classified documents in the criminal investigation of the thousands of papers taken from the White House. Last month, the FBI conducted a search of Donald Trump's Florida property and seized thousands of documents that the government said belonged to the National Archives, not to Mr. Trump. Number 2, the former Minneapolis police officer who held down George Floyd's legs in May 2020 was sentenced to 3 years in prison this week on a state charge of aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter in George Floyd's death. Thomas Lane, who is currently in federal prison for violating Mr. Floyd's civil rights during his fatal restraint, appeared remotely at the hearing wearing beige prison clothing. He began his federal 2.5-year sentence in a Bureau of Prisons facility in Colorado late last month. Number 3, under a tentative deal, Washington state employees would get $1,000 bonuses for receiving a COVID-19 booster shot. The agreement between the state and the Washington Federation of State Employees also includes a 4% pay increase in 2023, 3% pay raises in 2024, and a $1,000 retention bonus. Governor Jay Inslee announced this month that all pandemic emergency orders will end by October 31st, including state vaccine mandates for healthcare and education workers. Number 4, Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, is the recent target of hate for providing gender-affirming care. Matt Walsh, a far-right podcaster who's been leading a campaign against Boston Children's Hospital for providing gender-affirming care, has called attention to a local facility using inflammatory language. A statement from Vanderbilt says Walsh's claims and subsequent social media posts by others misrepresent facts about its transgender health clinic, such as insinuating employees are forced to participate in gender-affirming care. Number 5, grocery shelves are lined with high-demand products from meat to dairy alternatives, which generate billions of dollars for the product makers. Diana King, an African-American software engineer and food enthusiast from Atlanta, Georgia, is getting her piece of the financial pie as the co-founder and CEO of Eat Unrestricted. As one of few lines of plant-based vegan cheese products owned by an African-American woman, Ms. King says her mission is to fill the gap in supply, giving the public quality products for vegans and anyone else who wants to improve their health. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Life is a series of choices. Choose to be a good communicator. All right. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the American Heart Association. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SibylWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.